Namo Buddhaya and welcome to Buddha Dharma TV Sunday program. I am Lisa Chu. Today we will start with a Dharma talk followed by a song and a Jataka tale. The Dharma talk today is by Venerable D. Kusala Thero. Bhante Kusala is a Buddhist monk from Sri Lanka. Born in 1987, he entered the monastic life at the age of 16 in 2004 in Sri Gangagiri Vihara in South Sri Lanka. He did his undergraduate and graduate studies at the University of Paradinaya in Sri Lanka, majoring in Pali language. In 2012 and 13, he moved to Italy and studied cognitive science and engaged in mindfulness-based research works at the University of Toronto. We are grateful to the Venerable for sharing with us part 2 of his talk on the topic hindrances, precepts, and jhana.
David mentioned this in one of his talks. You know the story of the two monks crossing a river, and monks normally don't touch women, never. It's one of the rules, or men for that matter. So there was this woman trying to cross the river. It was flooded. She was scared. So the senior monk held her at his back and crossed her over and went on. The other monk was very upset for this. So he quietly went to the monastery and he just refused to talk with this monk. And the other monk decided to break the silence and asked, "What is the matter?" The monks normally maintain silence, they just don't engage in chit chat. There's a day they come together and chat Dhamma. Other times they just signal and get do things, bring water and all that. So the junior monk said, "You are not supposed to touch a woman. You did that." Sorry?
Broke the precept.
Broke the precept, yeah. It's not a strong precept, it's just a kind of etiquette. So you just touched a woman, you are not supposed to do that. Although he did a good thing, and the senior monk said, "Yes, I did. But I dropped her on the other side of the river. It seems like you are still carrying her." This can happen. This can happen. We get attached to these incidences and build a story that doesn't even exist. Okay, so last thing I want to share is because there was that big storm last night. Somehow I think the tea I had caffeine in it, and I couldn't just sleep. I wanted to meditate through the storm. There was this nice couch and I sat there. It reminded me of two teachings of the Buddha, and I thought I will share. Buddha is known also as a poet. He was spontaneous. He came up with words. So this teaching has 17 verses, but I only picked just the first two. This is from the Dhaniya Sutta. This is from the Sutta Nipata 1.2. Sutta Nipata is one of the 15 books of the book collection that are part of the canon, like Dhammapada is. So you will hear when I say it in Pali, there is this man, very rich man. He is a son of a very rich person. He had 30,000 cattle and many lands, and he was just happy. Buddha lived thousands of miles away, but he saw the potential of this man and his wife to be enlightened. That, and the Buddha decided to compassionately help him. And a huge storm was approaching, and the Buddha teleported, according to the story, teleported there, and he heard this man recite. I will say in English first. I have boiled the rice, he said. That means I have the dinner. I have milked the cows. With my family and wife, I dwell on the bank of this Mahis river. My hut is thatched. He had a summer palace, that's where he was at. And the fire is fed. Rain, therefore, rain if you wish. So let it rain, and I'm not bothered. So he's quite happy about his worldly life. But the Buddha responds poetically. In English, these words don't rhyme, but I anyway give you the response, and I will explain how they rhyme. Without anger am I, barrenness gone, the only one night I dwell here on the Mahis bank. Uncovered is the hut, that is his mind uncovered from the hindrances. The fire quenched, the fire of lust, hatred and delusion quenched in the Buddha's mind. Rain, therefore, rain if you wish. So the person was talking about the worldly stuff, and the Buddha talking about his spiritual attainments. So this Dhaniya says, this is the Pali side. Dhaniya uses pakkodhano to say, I have boiled the rice. The Buddha says akkodhano to say, I am free from anger. Similar, right? Very, very, sounds, similar sounds. These are like, someone has to be very skilled to respond that quickly, spontaneously like that. And Dhaniya says Duddha Kiro, and the Buddha says Vigata Kilo. Duddha Kiro means he milked the cows. The Buddha says Vigata Kilo, my mind is free from defilements. And Dhaniya says Anutire Mahya Samanavaso. The Buddha says Anutire Mahya Ekarattivaso. Very similar sounding. Channa Kuti, he says, my roof is covered. The Buddha says Vivata Kuti, my roof is open. Same, Channa Kuti, Vivata Kuti. Dhaniya says Ahito Gini, Buddha says Nibbuto Gini. Dhaniya says he brought fire, Buddha said he quenched the fire. And the same line the Buddha ends with Atache Pattesi Pavasadeva, Atache Pattesi Pavasadeva. They both say the same line. If the rain wants to rain, let it rain. So there's another, this is not a discourse, I could not find this actually. So I don't remember the details of it, but someone comes to the Buddha, and Buddha just rose from his meditation, and he was praising something, and the Buddha said there was this huge storm, and I was in cessation. Cessation is a kind of attainment he was in, so he did not sense the storm. He did not sense that lightning strikes a cow and got killed near where he was in the open. That's kind of how powerful you can develop your mind when you develop with right instructions. So I will try to find it. I'll continue to look for it, but that too reminded me of the storm, and the storm reminded me of these pieces from the Buddhist literature and Buddha's teachings. Anyway, I will stop talking. Any questions? Yeah.
So I know we talked about doubt being one of the five hindrances, and you specifically talked about doubt in the Buddha's teachings, or what am I doing here, this or that. But I didn't hear you address self-doubt or like your practice. Or, maybe everyone else can do it, but I can't. Do you have any advice for that?
Yeah, that is also doubt that we tend to compare with others. You will see someone sitting longer and you think, oh, I didn't do that. They I must go and sit. So um, it's completely unnecessary to compare, because that person may be having a horrible time, although they are just good at sitting. Your reading of that situation is a false imagination of the mind. All you have to do is to just ground in reality and just accept that you will bring up energy factor and sit. And it was just a thought and you siksar it. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Any more questions? Yep.
When you were talking about dependent origination, you mentioned states that are pleasant, states that are unpleasant, and states that are neither pleasant nor unpleasant. Is it possible to engage with states that are pleasant without that inherently causing one to experience craving? Or can one approach them mindfully?
Unless they are rooted in unwholesome tendencies. In that case, it can be pleasant, and pleasant with some unwholesome roots, something to do with lust, wanting, craving. When you avoid that, there is meditation happiness, which is completely harmless, and that pleasure is like joy. That is the Buddha. In Mahasacchaka Sutta, he remembered that when he was a little child, he developed a kind of meditation. There was pleasure involved in it, and he thought, this pleasure has nothing to do with five hindrances or anything unwholesome, and there is no need to fear this. So he reasoned out with his wisdom that he could choose that kind of pleasure, and there is no one blaming him for having that pleasure. So that is how we need to treat that kind of pleasure. So we need to be mindful to make sure that we are not chasing after any worldly pleasures. There are pleasures that are born from meditation, and you cultivate those, and that you will not blame yourself, because you are the one asking the biggest questions from yourself at the end of the day. It's not anyone else. We need to have true conscience. They say true conscience is a soft pillow. So you ask yourself, is this rooted in wholesome? Then you cultivate it. And if it is rooted in anything unwholesome, it disturbs someone, it disturbs you, it disturbs your mental clarity, that pleasure you let go. When we discuss Majjhima Nikaya 148, Chaccaka Sutta, you will see the underlying tendencies of these pleasures, pains, and neutral feelings. And coming to truth is easy with that sutta in mind. And Sister Kema had memorized that sutta. So if you want to memorize any sutta, you can start from that. And it will be very, very useful that you can, if you have a long drive home, you just memorize it and meditate with it and go. There are many suttas like that, but we will discuss that on day 6. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
So you talked about like cultivating some of the enlightenment factors in response to some of the hindrances, or specific ones for specific hindrances, and I'm trying to understand how that relates to like the instruction we received about doing like the 6 R's.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like, is there a way to do that in a way that cultivates energy as opposed to cultivating tranquility or whatever?
Yeah, so siksaring is a practice that you will always keep, knowing that these factors of enlightenment are coming your way because you are siksaring. But you won't 6R the enlightenment factors. Now you can recognize mindfulness, you can recognize investigation, you can recognize joy, you can recognize tranquility, you can recognize equanimity, and there's no need to 6R them because they are wholesome qualities.
Right. I guess I'm asking more like when you describe like cultivating energy or cultivating tranquility in response, like how does that fit in? Like how do we cultivate one of those factors in the practice that we're doing?
Yeah, we cultivate it simply by focusing on it because it's harmless to focus on energy and to notice that you are lacking energy, that your mind is dull. So that is the time that you 6R the dullness, but you bring up the smile, you keep the smile going, and you also let it like soak your heart, and there's more fun with the practice now, and there's suddenly energy present in you. That will happen. So yeah, notice what enlightenment factor is present at what what situation, and this is why we kind of share this wisdom of the Buddha. So it kind of helps you to stay on the path and know that you don't have to have too much knowledge about these things, but when it is wholesome, this is like energy, this is like tranquility, and stay with the spiritual friend and radiate loving kindness, which is a sublime state, divine state, and you continue staying with the spiritual friend. These other factors, they develop anyway. That's the way the practice rewards to you. Whether or not you ask them for them, you are rewarded with these qualities. Because you are leaving behind the past, you are letting the future be, and you are living here. No, you think about the past now, you think about the future now, so all we have is now. Just let the now be. Yes.
I appreciate elaborating more on certain factors. And I was just curious if you could speak more on the concentration. What's wholesome concentration? Because I know it's also spoken about not over concentrating. So how do you know when you're, I don't know, crossing?
So Bhante V always said one-pointedness is not concentration, not samadhi. It's like reading, and it can give you a headache because you try to focus and see that tendency in you. There is some craving there. It has to be more wisdom informed, that you are just samadhi. There's sama is this equilibrium, and dhi is the buddhi, the mind. The mind is tranquil, and there is the word concentration, I think, is a bad translation for samadhi. Some monks use stillness for it. Stillness would be a good word. Collectedness also.
One of the factors.
Yeah.
Using stillness.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like being seated under a tree by that lake, and you are just not controlling anything, not focusing on one animal. You're just letting the process be and staying with your spiritual friend and radiating loving kindness. That's all. Yeah.
About the spiritual friends, I've been kind of confused about how to, I guess, not hold on to them during the meditation throughout my daily life, but am I supposed to visualize them the whole time, or know that they're there, or both, or? you go about doing that?
David.
Well, I think Bhante describes it as, first of all, there's the feeling of the loving kindness for the spiritual friend. So you want to see that more than trying to visualize.
I see.
Visualization is 5 to 10%.
Gotcha.
You simply know that
It's mostly feeling.
and yeah, and then you know if there's no feeling, then go back to a little bit more. Okay, there he is, and yeah, and smile at him, and get that feeling going, and let him go back into the background.
Thank
Don't
you.
try to make it a scene, something in your mind.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah. Yeah, some people are, thank you, David. Some people are good at visualizing things. Some people really don't do it that well. So we don't have to struggle with it. So, yeah. Yeah.
Is it helpful during the recognize stage to label the hindrance, like, oh, this is agitation, or is that more?
I think it'll be naturally informed to us. We don't have to make extra effort to label anything. You will sense it. This is frustration, agitation. They have different names. This is anxiety, this is depression, and all these little words. There's some resistance somewhere, and it just, without us knowing, it became this, and you just know it is present. Just let it be, allow it to be, and recognize it. Yeah. Yeah. You know the RAIN practice, not recognize, allow, investigate, and non-identify. So, with frustration, well, I'm not introducing anything to 6Ring. It's just allowing things is very important. Because when we try to be too self-conscious about any of these things, that's not the right samadhi. That's the wrong samadhi. So that's not the right mindfulness. That's the wrong mindfulness. You see, the word right is important here. We need to notice the presence of these and let them be, and just no need to even label them. You can in the beginning, but after a while you just get tired of labeling also. If you go on doing that, it's completely up to you. In the beginning you may feel like you want to recognize this, but actually what you are recognizing is that there is a distraction. That's all. Okay? Rahul.
Bhante, I want to touch on a bunch of points you brought up. At the beginning of your talk, you mentioned how these distractions, they tell us something, they're teachers. And you mentioned one of the doubts is doubt about your future. And that's like 90% of what I think. In meditation, outside of meditation, I'm constantly planning about the future and thinking about different things in the future. I like the story you mentioned about the Buddha and the other guy who's like super worldly. And his solution to problems is the worldly solution of gather enough resources and it's fine. And Buddha proposes his solution of don't care and it's fine, sort of. I feel like as a lay practitioner, I'm like not in either camp fully, and that causes a lot of my doubt about the future. It's like I don't want to be super worldly, but I'm not a monk either. So it's like, what am I doing, or what do I do? I know you're not a lay person, but when doubts like these come up, is it better to sort of address them somehow?
Thank you for that question. It's very important, very, very good question. This also reminds me to complete that story of Danya. I told you that Buddha saw his potential, and the storm actually destroyed all his wealth. And by that point, he had heard Buddha's teachings, and his wife and family also had heard Buddha's teachings and the value of going forth, and they chose to become monks. So that option is available for you. No one is saying no. You can get Bhante Satyananda the next year and ordain you. But these are thoughts. Dwelling on these thoughts is actually waste of energy, especially when we are here practicing. I know you know this. It's just a lot of proliferations of what is yet to come. There's a very simple story that will help us here. This little kid had a bad experience with a dentist, and mom scheduled an appointment a couple of months later, and this kid started worrying about it so much. And he said, "Mommy, you don't love me. This is why you take me to this dentist." So he refused to share the bed with mom the day before, refused to eat, and he was just frozen. And he went to the appointment only to find out that that day the appointment is cancelled.
Yeah.
So all that worrying is actually, it didn't do anything. Because we don't know. There's perhaps a reason why we don't know the future. It's not known to us. Future is not us to see. We just let it be and just see here the value of the spiritual friendship here, and having the teachings, having the companion of monks, teachers, a center, and lots of good things. The Buddha says we need to practice like our head is on fire. This is very, very important, because last night when all the lightning was happening, it could have been my last moment. I was walking in the forest, into the forest, and fortunately we don't have bears. It could be my last moment. A tree can collapse, and I have no time to call David. He's my 911, and every time a vicious dog comes, I would call him and come rescue me. So things happen. So we don't know. There's no ending. This is a dead end to think. I am one of these people. I also do this. We all do this. We think. We have many what ifs. But see the positive side of it, that you want to do something good with this life, and something you want to do better. So take it positively, use that energy to be productive, and also find santuti, content heart with what you do. You are content with what you have, you are thankful for what you have, and you notice that people who had in abundance also, this is important, they succumbed to death. They died. They left behind everything, and they died. This is not a negative view. This is just reflecting on truth. So monks usually do Marananusati, reflecting on death. Monks do Asubhanusati, reflecting on Asubha, that is non-beauty of the body. It helps them to cut down the attachment stuff. They reflect on the Buddha, how he abandoned all these things that we are trying to achieve, the 3 palaces, or the beautiful women he was given, and potential to be the universal monarch. He was trained for that. So we reflect on Buddha's 9 qualities, how he became the Buddha, how he became the teacher for heavens and humans, how he became someone who could tame any untamable person. So we reflect on these qualities, the 9 qualities of the Buddha. And we do the Kayagata Sati, reflecting on the body's true nature, decaying nature. So when we do that, there is this urgency for us to stay on the right track, thinking that this may be my last moment. And then we know that even some harm come our way, because we took this moment seriously, we are in a good place. because last thought decides where you are born in next lifetime. It's not how much we had or how good we planned our future. Look, Steve Jobs, he developed Apple, and he also had cancer, and unfortunately he could not live that empire he built. He only enjoyed it so much. So this is not to infuse a negative view to the mind. This is to see that things happen like that. What we need to focus on is just what is important now. How can I prioritize my mental peace, mental health, mental well-being, contentment, spiritual wealth, not the material wealth. So Dhanya was happy with this material wealth. Buddha was happy with the spiritual wealth. So, good? Okay. Yeah.
Can the spiritual friend be non-human?
No. It can be an animal. So it's best we take a human friend for a spiritual friend. Non-humans look actually more human-like sometimes. I see that. But with this practice, you include non-humans in your loving kindness, obviously. I tried to cultivate that kind of mind with all of you this morning based on Buddha's words on loving kindness. We know that. We look each innocent being as my child, and that mind. But take a human to cultivate, because sometimes, say, you radiate loving kindness to outside of retreat, you radiate loving kindness to your mom. She feels it. Suddenly she calls you and she says, 5 hours ago I felt you strongly in my heart. Were you thinking of me? And you say, yes, mom, I was radiating loving kindness to you. So this is a thing. This is like telepathy. This works. When your mind is doing these developments, mind's domain triggers things in the area, in the world. Like they say, the fruits ripen nicely and sweetly, so things like that. It's just something that we cannot describe always. But mind is very powerful. We don't live in houses or monasteries. We live in the mind, which is an unlimited area. We build these memory walls here and there. We have to destroy them to see the freedom. And inside this mind home, there can be anger boiling in the kitchen of this mind, and past worries tucked under the rugs of this mind. So this is why we do cleansing, and for that we need to see the human mind as a powerful tool that we connect with and radiate loving kindness to. It is completely harmless. Okay? Yeah. Yeah.
Going back to the question about concentration, if I remember correctly from one of Bhante Vimalaramsi's talks I saw online, he used collectedness, but he also used composure
Yeah.
to help
Yeah.
explain collectedness, why he thought that was a much better fit in concentration.
Very good, thank you. Yeah, composure, this is the Pali word ekagata. This is like composure. It's a good, yeah, he picked the right word, and thank you for sharing that. Yeah, composure. You will feel that in the meditation practice. Yeah. More questions? Okay.
I think at one point you said something like we're not cultivating grief here, but I'm wondering what the advice is when feelings like that come up in the context of forgiveness meditation, for instance.
We are not what? Earlier, what did you say?
Sorry. Yeah. So I think at one point earlier when you were talking about the jhanas, you said something like we're not trying to cultivate grief here.
Mm.
But the question is what about what's the advice when feelings like that come up, perhaps in the context of doing like forgiveness meditation?
No, it's very good question. Grief is the measure of your love towards someone, especially someone who said goodbye to us. We grow around it, and we do good things like feeding birds and say, "Mommy, I'm feeding birds for you today." It's just a way to celebrate life of that person. You can grieve a person who's alive, but you don't have any access to this person. So when these strong feelings arise, you forgive yourself first by not, for not understanding the whole of it, and that it is present now. It's nothing bad. It's just a human experience, and let it be. Allow it to be. Use Siksari, recognize, release, relax, return to your spiritual friend, or return to forgiveness. And they are there. They are showing where our heart is, and it takes time and energy and effort and change of many practices, many habits to develop a different mindset, and we patiently wait for that to happen, doing what is right now, because now is all that we have. So we treat grief as a visitor that is visiting now, and let it be. We don't serve any tea to it. We just let it be, and move on with the whatever the object of meditation you are cultivating, you move on with it. We all feel grief at different times, and pet loss grief and grief of losing a friend and lots of that. So, but please don't blame yourself for anything or build a story about it. It's completely unnecessary to do that. Okay? Yeah.
We're having a hard time generating or developing a loving kindness to ourselves or anybody. I saw in the booklet that Bhante Bimalaramji suggests to recall or remember, like, or imagine, like looking at a baby or something, or a cat or something, or a puppy.
Yeah.
And so thinking of that, I thought, okay, well, I guess since we're trying to have a feeling, not so much the object that's important, then I just try to imagine any positive thing that gave me a pleasant feeling.
Yeah, that's something Bhante suggested actually. Like your graduation, the day you had your first child or something. So please continue. Done asking the question? Yeah.
I
So
just
yeah,
wanted to know if this is
yeah.
kind of a way to approach, because
This is yeah. Yes.
Just one, like earlier in the day, I kind of stopped myself because I noticed the rays of the sun kind of pleasantly, I enjoyed it for a moment, and I was like, oh wait, this is sensual indulgent, and this is, impermanent, and this is not pleasure born of meditation, so I went back into the shade.
No.
Too literal.
It's like looking at flowers. Your mind is beautiful. That is why you are seeing things that are beautiful out there, and it's completely harmless. If you created an image out of this in a shape of a girl or something, this is getting toward unwholesome side. With loving kindness, you start to see beauty of even the ugly things. There is a discourse called Metta Sahagata Sutta. It's also called Haliddavasana Sutta, Sanyutta Nikaya, 1606 page number. There the Buddha describes how your mind gets to just see the beauty in the ugliest things out there in the world. So the sun is a beautiful thing. It's completely harmless, and yes, please just absorb into it. This reminds me of a story. There was this monk, and he has a habit of taking a walk to see the sunset, and he allows one of his students to walk with him, but the rule is he cannot talk. But there was this day a new student monk was allowed to walk with him, and as soon as he saw the sunset, he said, "What a beautiful sunset." So he broke the rule. So the teacher stopped the walk and went back to the monastery and said, "This student is never allowed to walk with me again." And other students said, "Why? What's the problem? He's just new, and allow him to walk." And the teacher said, "When my student said, 'What a beautiful sunset,' he was looking at the words, not the actual beauty of the sunset." We ruin the beauty by building a story about it. It's okay to have some story, but not over, like, yeah, meditation, happiness, of course, but also there is the nature, beautiful trees. These are not sparking lust, hatred, and delusion, not sparking any hindrance in us. So they are completely harmless. We can't live in the world like that otherwise. Yeah.
Could I add one more
Yes,
thing?
please.
It's very common. You can't get that feeling going. It's especially after a few 2 or 3 hours, you're tried, and now you're just kind of dry. Well, we have cats, and one of them, Suka. We call him Suka because he's happy, and he'll just jump up on you, right on your chest, and you just hold him and just feel that loving kindness. That's loving kindness.
Yeah.
And just practice. Just feel it and get a recharge.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Just be. He's like a big baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Baby, he just loves it.
Yeah.
So basically, you're saying to just to observe whatever arises in your meditation, or you see beauty in the world, or observe it with as much clarity as possible and composure as possible, not overanalyze it or anything like that. Just step back and
Analyzing is not necessary unless you know how to analyze. Actually, you will learn it in this retreat. So with those tools, your analyzing will be very different. So it's not like analyzing in the regular analyzing way. It's just to see the truth as is, truth as it arises and vanishes. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know how to phrase this, so I'm just going to speak, and then we'll see if anything
Mhm.
helpful. But every time I go to generate metta, sometimes it comes, but a lot of times, even if it arises alongside it, is just this like sensations that can be quite painful, and I 6R them, but it almost feels like the painful sensations make it hard to even like feel some of the metta sometimes. So I was wondering if there's anything, or we should switch to forgiveness. Yeah.
It's a good idea to switch to forgiveness. There's a booklet here by Bhante, and we can give a copy to you. It's right in the interview room. So that way you kind of pause this practice a little bit and do some forgiveness practice and come back to the practice again. Sometimes the body is perhaps demanding compassion. Maybe loving kindness is not what the body needs. So forgiveness will be very meaningful tool to deal with it. We will see. Okay. Yeah.
Just to follow up on that question, I'm noticing so far today, hopefully it'll improve tomorrow, and I'll be able to feeling like a block or anything in my heart or anything painful or unpleasant. It's more just sort of a flatness. And I'm having trouble, I don't know, everything feels very flat. And I'm just sort of like, oh, it's not equanimity either because I think I felt that before. It's sort of more in that vein. I'm sort of like, oh, things are okay. There's nothing particularly wrong right now. But I think it's distinct from moments when I've definitely felt Metta very robustly. So any thoughts on, I was thinking, well, forgiveness, the thought across my mind today to try it out. I'm like, I don't know what I would forgive particularly. You know, it's
No,
just like
yeah.
a thing that's bothering me. I don't know.
Yeah, what I would say is that you have the intention is important. That although you don't strongly feel that those feelings of loving kindness, your intention is there, and you are not steering too far away from that intention of radiating loving kindness and cultivating thoughts. Sometimes feelings are not strongly felt like that, but your intention works, and you know that. That is perhaps the answer to this. David, do you want to add anything?
Well, I would say that you want to be careful about trying to establish metta like 100% of the time. Because it's not going to happen. You just kind of gently nudge it along, and then you might feel a little warmth. And just be with that. Observe it. Don't try to make it bigger. It doesn't have to be big. And when it gets a little weaker, just bring up sukha again. Bring up anything that kind of reminds you of that feeling, and nudge along. And yeah, you're going to have some dry periods. It's just going to happen. It can't be perfect. And it's only the first day, so
yeah.
Let's not think, well, that's it. It's
Yeah.
not working.
I don't want to go sleep in the woods.
Yeah.
I would not do without if I didn't get into the first job.
Well, I think the sukha therapy will work for you. It's freely available here, and has very many hours of doing that into his life.
The black or orange cat?
The black.
The black and white, yeah. Orange,
He's standoffish, but he's okay.
yeah.
You went in my lap today. You're like
Yeah. Puddles has evolved actually to be like Sukha-like now. He used to be more active and running, but now I think he's getting the kind of loving kindness you all have given him. So this reminds me of a monk who broke a precept and he was not feeling loving kindness, so he was punished. The punishment he was given is to give 50 strokes to the cat of the monastery. So that'll kind of bring back the loving kindness. So
I think your response kind of confused me, where you said like it's the intention that matters, but like if the feeling of metta is supposed to be the object of concentration and you're not feeling it, but you like do have the intention, but then like what becomes the object? Like,
well, feeling is not always strongly felt, but your mind is keeping attention on loving kindness all the time, and you know you are not distracted from that goal, and that way when the feeling arises, whether it is 5% or, because we can't always look for that feeling and say, oh, I don't have that feeling, so there's no way you can force a feeling to be. So this is when we know we are on loving kindness, and I'm radiating loving kindness to my spiritual friend, and I'm progressing and not occupied with things that makes my mind busy. And we will share more steps maybe in the interviews tomorrow, how loving kindness changes to compassion and all that. Okay, please just, it's the first day, like David said, and it's only the first day, and
so basically you don't want to let your mind convince you that you failed.
no, exactly. Yeah, sigsar that. Mind will want to convince you that that's the way that we habitually used to mind's doings, but Now we give a different mode of living for this mind. Okay. Oh, more questions? Yeah.
To understand one of the hindrances a little bit better, I get a lot of feelings of physical pain when I'm sitting, and I get a hindrance of aversion to that pain. I'll 6R that, and then go back to the feeling of loving kindness. Oftentimes the pain will kind of reappear, and maybe it hasn't totally taken over, but it's so the meta is still there. The pain is still there. The aversion arises. And what I'll just kind of try to do is be like, okay, I still am aware of the meta, so I'm just going to kind of try to let the aversion and the pain just kind of sit there and be with the meta as long as I can. And maybe at some point eventually I just get pulled in the pain, and then I try to 6R it. Is that an effective way to try to balance it as opposed to just like repressing it, which sometimes I'm like, I just want the pain to go away. But I was just kind of maybe understand with like persistent hindrance how to maybe dance with it a little bit, or how to think with it.
And I appreciate your persistent energy and effort also, which are factors of Eightfold Path. And well, this pain could be a result of some injury you had, and the body is trying to get used to your sitting. So if you can switch to some walking and maybe break your sitting to shorter sittings, and also change the way you sit, sit in a chair with a cushion, with more support, and see how the sitting experience changes. And if you have to use painkillers and mindfulness is not working enough like a painkiller, please use that. I think that will be beneficial. If you had an injury and that it is coming up and bothering, but if not, too much effort, please notice if that is happening. Like that may be a little wanting and controlling happening there. If that happens, step back and resort to just radiating loving kindness to yourself and to the spiritual friend. Yeah, radiate loving kindness to the pain itself. Anything else you want to add to it?
What is this pain?
I think it's, for me, like in this afternoon a lot was just like in my shoulders. I think more from, instead of doing this, instead of doing this all day. I get there too.
So you're kind of straightening up now.
Yeah, exactly.
How long are you sitting?
30 to 60 minutes.
That shouldn't cause in a chair or on the floor?
Both.
Both.
I've gone back and forth.
Yeah, you don't want to sit with pain if you can help it. Don't try to, because what happens with pain? You get angry, you get its aversion, and that just spirals right down. As Bhakti said, you want to shift position, take a walk. But you're not sitting very long, so you want to get comfortable with that. And then once you're comfortable, don't move, and just let it be. 6R any reaction to that pain. But don't fight with it. That's something that gets you angry.
Some monks only work on their sitting posture for about a year, and then they do the meditation. So it's a process with so much patience and waiting. Yeah. You'll be doing good. Yeah. Just give a nice tap on your shoulder. So. Okay. Perhaps that is the you have. Yeah.
Maybe a quick question. I was wondering if this is a question about the precepts and if this is something that breaks it, but we have an hour of free time, and I was wondering, does making mandalas break the precept of like no dancing, singing, or just circular?
It's not breaking precepts. It's just that that activity that you want to do. If you still can stay with your object of meditation, that's a good distraction to have. And that's like your cell phone in the retreat, mandala cell phone. But if it's distracting you and taking too much time and you take too much interest in it, please observe that and siksa the mandala and switch to sitting right there. So, yeah. Good? Oh, another hand up.
Quick comment here. I have a shoulder injury myself. I was experimenting for a long time, propping my shoulders up, or my elbows up very high. So you can see that chair I brought that I modified in the back. If you get some
I was wondering, yeah.
prop up really high, it can take the pressure off you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not a question, but a comment as well. Like, one thing I've observed bring up loving kindness has helped for me. Anything else is like to be sort of happy. So one thing that helps is gratitude. So yesterday I was sitting here thinking of like, hey, I'm so well taken care of here, and then I had the opportunity to come here and stuff, and I felt very grateful. That made it a lot easier to sum it up.
Yeah. Looking at the brighter side. Yeah. Grass is not greener on the other side. Shall we share merits? Okay. Please join your palms together and recite together. May suffering ones be suffering free and fear struck fearless be. May grieving shed all grief and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, happy meditation.
Let us now listen to a Buddhist song by wayfarers. There are always nice music by wayfarers.
In the ancient land a child is born, once in a time so long, and the gods and men, so they say, homage to the Lord. In the ancient land a child is born, once in a time so long, and the gods and men, so they say, homage to the Lord. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo
Now it's time for Jataka Tales, which is a large collection of Buddhist morality stories whereby Buddha recounts some of his past lives on his journey towards enlightenment. Please watch with us now, the Jataka tale for today.
กกันนัตตกะชาดกว่าด้วยกิ้งก่าได้ทรัพย์ในสมัยพุทธกาลเมื่อครั้งที่พระบรมศาสดาสัมมาสัมพุทธเจ้าประทับอยู่ณพระเชตวันมหาวิหารทรงปรารภพระปัญญาบารมีของพระองค์ในอดีตชาติแล้วจึงทรงตรัสพระธรรมเทศนาดังนี้วันหนึ่งขณะที่ภิกษุทั้งหลายอยู่ในโรงธรรมสภานั้นได้มีการสรรเสริญพระปัญญาบารมีของพระผู้มีพระภาคเจ้าว่าพระองค์ทรงเป็นผู้มีปัญญาบารมีมาก
พวกท่านทั้งหลายพระศาสดาของพวกเรานี้ทรงมีพระปัญญาที่ยิ่งใหญ่เหลือเกินพระองค์สามารถที่จะปราบวาทะของผู้อื่นได้ทำคนเหล่านั้นให้สิ้นพยศและได้ประทานบรรพชาให้ตั้งอยู่ในมรรคผลทั้งนี้ก็เพราะพระองค์ทรงมีพระปัญญาที่ลึกซึ้งนั่นเอง
เมื่อก่อนข้าก็เคยหลงผิดแต่พระองค์ทำให้ข้าเห็นธรรมแล้วออกบวชในพระศาสนา
นับว่าพวกเราโชคดีจริงๆที่มีศาสดาเป็นผู้มีปัญญา
ในขณะที่ภิกษุทั้งหลายสนทนากันอยู่นั้นพระพุทธองค์ก็เสด็จผ่านมาถึงทรงทราบว่าภิกษุทั้งหลายสนทนากันเรื่องพระปัญญาบารมีของพระองค์ดูก่อนภิกษุทั้งหลายมิใช่แต่ในบัดนี้เท่านั้นที่ตถาคตมีปัญญาแม้ในอดีตกาลเมื่อยานยังไม่แก่กล้าขณะที่กำลังบำเพ็ญบูรพจริยาเพื่อพระโพธิญาณอยู่เราก็เป็นผู้มีปัญญามาแล้วเหมือนกันครั้นตรัสเสร็จแล้วพระพุทธองค์ทรงประทับนิ่งอยู่เหล่าภิกษุทั้งหลายจึงกราบทูลวิงวอนให้ทรงประกาศเรื่องราวแต่หนหลังจึงทรงนำอดีตนิทานมาแสดงดังนี้ในอดีตการมีพระราชาพระนามว่าวิเทหะเสวยราชสมบัติอยู่ในกรุงมิถิลาแคว้นวิเทหะพระเทวีของพระองค์มีพระนามว่าอุทุมพรเทวีต่อมาพระองค์ได้มโหสถมารับราชการเขาเป็นอำมาตย์ที่ทรงโปรดปรานมาก
ข้าขอแต่งตั้งเจ้าให้เป็นอำมาตย์คอยรับใช้ข้าอย่างใกล้ชิด
ขอพระทัยพระเจ้าค่ะ
วันหนึ่งเมื่อพระเจ้าวิเทหราชเสด็จไปพระราชอุทยานกับมโหสถบัณฑิต
วันนี้อากาศดีเหมาะแก่การเดินเที่ยวชมอุทยานเจ้าว่าจริงไหมมโหสถ
จริงดังที่พระองค์ตรัสพระเจ้าค่ะ
ในขณะนั้นมีกิ้งก่าตัวหนึ่งอยู่บนปลายเสาค่ายมันเห็นพระราชาเสด็จมาก็ลงจากเสาค่ายมาหมอบที่แผ่นดินแล้วทำการผงกหัวอยู่ไปมา
งึกงึกงักงักมันเป็นงึกงึกงักงัก
พระราชาทรงทอดพระเนตรเห็นอากัปกิริยาของกิ้งก่านั้นก็ทรงสงสัยจึงได้ตรัสถามแก่มโหสถ
มโหสถเอ๋ยเจ้าดูกิ้งก่าตัวนั้นสิมันทำอะไรของมันกัน
กิ้งก่ากำลังถวายตัวแด่พระองค์อยู่พระเจ้าค่ะ
แม้แต่กิ้งก่าก็ยังถวายตัวแก่ข้างั้นหรือ
พระองค์ทรงมากโดยพระบารมีแม้แต่กิ้งก่าตัวนี้ก็ยังยำเกรงต่อพระองค์พระเจ้าค่ะ
จริงดังเจ้าว่าเมื่อมันถวายตัวก็จงให้ทรัพย์แก่มันเถิด
ขอเดชะกิ้งก่าไม่ต้องการทรัพย์ขอเพียงพระราชทานแค่เนื้อก็เพียงพอแล้ว
ถ้าเช่นนั้นข้าจะให้เนื้อแก่มันวันละ1 มาศกก็แล้วกัน
พระราชาทรงรับสั่งโปรดให้ราชบุรุษซื้อเนื้อให้แก่กิ้งก่าวันละกึ่งมาสกะทุกวันเจ้ากิ้งก่านั้นก็จะมาคอยรับเนื้อที่ได้รับพระราชทาน
อ้าวนี่ เนื้อกึ่งมาสกะของเจ้า
อร่อยได้กินเนื้อทุกวันแบบนี้สบายเลยเรา
ทุกเช้าราชบุรุษจะต้องไปยังตลาดเพื่อซื้อเนื้อกึ่งมาสกะนี้มาให้แก่เจ้ากิ้งก่า
วันนี้รับอะไรดีละท่าน
ขอเนื้อครึ่งมาสกะเท่าเดิม
ท่านมาซื้อเนื้อครึ่งมาสกะทุกวันไปทำอะไรหรือเนื้อแค่นี้จะพอกินได้ยังไง
ข้าเอาไปให้กิ้งก่ากินนะเจ้าอย่าถามมากข้ามีธุระต้องรีบไป
ต่อมาวันหนึ่งเป็นวันอุโบสถซึ่งในวันนี้จะไม่มีการฆ่าสัตว์ราชบุรุษจึงไม่สามารถหาเนื้อมาให้กิ้งก่าได้
วันนี้เจ้าไม่ขายเนื้อหรือ
วันนี้เป็นวันอุโบสถงดฆ่าสัตว์ตัดชีวิตไม่มีที่ไหนเขาขายเนื้อกันหรอก
โถเอ้ยแล้วนี่ข้าจะทำยังไงดีล่ะเฮ้ยนี่ข้าต้องวุ่นวายแบบเนี้ยเพราะเจ้ากิ้งก่าตัวนั้นแท้
ๆราชบุรุษถือเงินกึ่งมาสกะนั้นแต่ก็ไม่สามารถหาเนื้อมาให้กิ้งก่าได้ระหว่างที่กำลังเดินเข้าออกร้านขายเนื้ออยู่นั้นราชบุรุษก็คิดบางอย่างขึ้นมาได้
หาเนื้อไม่ได้แล้วเงินเนี้ยจะทำยังไงเงินนี่ข้ารู้แล้ววันนี้ไม่ได้กินเนื้อก็เอาเงินนี้ไปก็แล้วกัน
ราชบุรุษกลับจากตลาดแล้วก็เอาเหรียญกึ่งมาสกะนั้นมาเจาะรูตรงกลางแล้วร้อยด้วยด้ายเอามาผูกไว้เป็นเครื่องประดับที่คอกิ้งก่า
วันนี้ข้าหาเนื้อให้เจ้าไม่ได้เอาเงินนี้ไปแทนแล้วกัน
อะไรวะใส่แล้วก็เท่ดีเหมือนกันแฮะ
ด้วยเหรียญกึ่งมาสกะนั้นทำให้เจ้ากิ้งก่าลำพองถือตัวเสมือนมันมีทรัพย์มากมายเพราะอาศัยทรัพย์ที่ห้อยคอนั่นเอง
ข้ารวยแล้ว ตอนนี้ข้าเป็นกิ้งก่าที่รวยที่สุดในเมืองเน่
เฮ้ยพวกเราดูนั่นสิหน้ามันไส้จริงๆน้อยชูคออวดอยู่นั่นแหละมันคงคิดว่าตัวเองมีทรัพย์เท่าพระราชาสินะ
กิ้งก่าทั้งหลายไม่ต้องอิจฉาข้ายินดีให้พวกเจ้าคอยติดตามข้าก็ได้นะ
ข้าไม่เอาด้วยหรอกเชิญเจ้าบ้าไปคนเดียวเถอะนั่นสิไปกันดีกว่าอย่าไปยุ่งกับมันเลย
ครั้นในเวลาต่อมาเมื่อพระราชาได้เสด็จมายังพระราชอุทยานก็ทรงมองหาเจ้ากิ้งก่าตัวนั้น
มโหสถเจ้ากิ้งก่าตัวนั้นมันหายไปไหนซะแล้วล่ะ
มันอยู่บนเสานั่นแหละพระเจ้าค่ะ
เจ้ากิ้งก่านั้นแม้เห็นว่าพระราชาทรงเสด็จมาก็ไม่ได้ลงจากปลายเสาค่ายเพื่อทำความเคารพพระราชาเช่นเดิมด้วยเพราะมันเข้าใจว่าตนเองมีทรัพย์เสมอพระราชามันจึงทำตนเสมอพระราชาด้วย
ตอนนี้ข้ามีทรัพย์เสมอพระราชาแล้วข้าจะไม่ต้องลงไปหมอบกราบทำความเคารพใครอีก
พฤติกรรมของเจ้ากิ้งก่าที่เปลี่ยนไปนั้นสร้างความสงสัยให้แก่พระราชาเป็นอย่างยิ่งเพราะไม่เพียงจะไม่ลงมาแล้วมันยังยกหัวร่อนไปมาบนปลายเสาค่ายอีกด้วย
มโหสถทำไมเจ้ากิ้งก่าตัวนั้นมันถึงไม่ลงมาหมอบเคารพข้าเหมือนแต่ก่อนเจ้ารู้หรือไม่ว่ามันเป็นเพราะอะไรมันถึงได้ทำตัวกระด้างถือตัวเช่นนี้
ลำดับนั้นมโหสถบัณฑิตเมื่อตรวจพิจารณาด้วยปัญญาแล้วจึงรู้ว่าวันนี้เป็นวันอุโบสถโดยปกติจะไม่มีการฆ่าสัตว์ราชบุรุษเมื่อหาเนื้อไม่ได้จึงเอาทรัพย์กึ่งมาสกะซึ่งเป็นค่าอาหารนั้นมาผูกคอให้มันแทนเพราะอาศัยทรัพย์นี่เองจึงทำให้กิ้งก่าเกิดความถือตัว
เจ้ากิ้งก่านี้ได้ทรัพย์กึ่งมาสกะซึ่งไม่เคยได้มาก่อนมันจึงคิดว่าตัวเองมีทรัพย์ทัดเทียมกับพระองค์พระเจ้าค่ะ
พระราชาทรงสดับคำตอบแล้วจึงเรียกราชบุรุษมาซักถามก็ได้รับความจริงตรงดังคำของมโหสถทำให้เลื่อมใสในสติปัญญาของมโหสถยิ่งนัก
ดีมากเจ้าไม่ได้ซักถามใครๆเลยแต่สามารถรู้นิสัยและจิตใจของกิ้งก่าได้อย่างถูกต้องดีละข้าจะมอบรางวัลให้แก่เจ้า
ขอพระทัยพระเจ้าค่ะ
พระราชาทรงพระราชทานสวยที่เรียกเก็บค่าผ่านประตูเมืองทั้งสี่แก่มโหสถบัณฑิตแต่ด้วยความกริ้วที่มีต่อกิ้งก่านั้นจึงทรงรับสั่งให้ทหารจับกิ้งก่ามาฆ่าทิ้งเสียแต่มโหสถได้ทูลทัดทานเอาไว้
น้อยเจ้ากิ้งก่าบังอาจนักคิดจะทำตัวเสมอข้า
ธรรมดาของสัตว์เดรัจฉานย่อมโง่เขลาไร้ปัญญาติดหลงในทรัพย์ขอพระองค์โปรดประทานอภัยโทษให้แก่มันเถิดพระเจ้าค่ะ
จริงของเจ้าถ้าอย่างนั้นข้าก็จะไว้ชีวิตมัน
พระเจ้าวิเทหราชทรงยกโทษให้แก่กิ้งก่านั้นครั้นพระศาสดาทรงนำชาดกนี้มาตรัสเล่าแล้วทรงประชุมชาดกว่าพระเจ้าวิเทหราชในครั้งนั้นได้มาเป็นกาลุทายีภิกษุในบัดนี้ส่วนมโหสถบัณฑิตก็คือเราตถาคตในบัดนี้แหละ
That concludes today's program. If you have any questions about the contents of our broadcast, please feel free to reach out to us at info@bdtv.com. Our dedicated team remains committed to sharing the profound teachings of the Buddha, helping you walk the path of wisdom and enlightenment. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again next week at the same time. Namo Buddhaya.